Yeah, Baby Chris. That's what we called him before he was Chris Lighty. And he had a company called Baby Sounds before Violator. He was the original road manager for Jungle Brothers. And yeah, it was a good time when he came along because we had a big club single, Our House You. And that kept us working 3 or 4 days. 3 or 4 shows a night from Wednesday to Sunday. There was a lot of logistics to deal with, a lot of crowds, a lot of people to deal with. And Lighty would just come through and like tie up all the booking agents during the week, then give us the whole schedule on Wednesday, then get us to all the venues on time, then get us backstage, then go get the other half of the money before we went on. And if the promoter was like trying to give us a check, he would make them go cash it. You know, just dealing with a lot of last minute logistics, you know, and that's when hip hop was still getting organized. And Lighty was one of the people that was bringing organization and structure to the hip hop management and management of touring and live gigs and dealing with all the logistics for that.
For us, man, Chris Lighty meant a lot, especially early on. I think he did more for us than we actually realized, at least myself. You know, during the early days, running around with Red, we was all under Red. You could see the rankings. You had Big Rod, Chris Ali, and all of them. Then you had Baby Chris. Then you had us. You know, and as we started to jump off, Red, felt he entrusted Chris to roll with us because he felt he was responsible enough and everything.
Here's one big valuable lesson that I learned from Chris Lighty, and that's what I call the drill. I developed it on my own in these past 4 years, and then it makes me think of Chris Lighty, and that is the drill. I call it the drill. Like back in the day, you didn't know what to expect, what time you go on, what time to be at the meeting place, who to pick up the money from, how long the show should be, what's the set order, what's the distance from one venue to the next, and time management. These are things that I call the drill. And once you have the drill in place, then there's no guesswork. You just go in, your flight lands at 12 or 2, you go straight to the hotel or the sound check. Sound check is from 4 to 7. You set your mics up a certain way. You check that, make sure that's clear. You check out the green room, you meet with the staff. You go back to the hotel. Usually you go back on at 11. Doors open at 8 or 9. You go on at 11. You're off in 1 hour at 12. And then you think about the next 4 hours in front of you as far as if you have an early morning flight. If you don't, then you can take your pictures with fans and hang out and schmooze a little bit and sign autographs and stuff like that. But everything is calculated. Everything I do is calculated, and I learned this from people with structure, like Chris Lighty and other people like James Brown, Michael Jackson. People don't see it because they do it so gracefully. It's like having a grid in your head where you start at this point, you finish at this point, and then there's all this time that you use in between to make things flow naturally, And then when the job's done, then you go back to the, just letting things happen as they happen. But, and it's good for me now because I don't let anybody waste my time, And Lighty was the same way. He just was like on point with it. He wasn't geeking over crowds screaming and fans and all of that and promoters saying go through the back door, the front door. There was a drill. And he was like a truck, an armored truck that would just come through and knock everybody into order. And that's what I do now because I don't want anybody wasting my time. And that's how you become successful.
Chris did a lot, man. And he was always on the move. He was always on the move, looking, scratching away at the surface, trying to see what was next, talking to us about our show. All types of things. And he was, he had that big brother feel. And, he's a good dude, man.
Well, Chris Lighty was definitely from the school of hard knocks as far as this business is concerned. And he definitely had to battle a lot of battles he was fighting with people in the business and even within himself. I saw that. And, before we used to say, you got to go hard, Chris Lighty was going hard. And he was definitely looking out for a lot of people. You know, he was no slouch. And a lot of his work, I mean, the rewards he got, he deserves because he put others first before himself. He worked non-stop, constantly. We never had to worry about anything. You know, he was like, come on, this is me, man. You know, even with all the stress he had to deal with to make sure we got on stage and have no stress. He was the bodyguard. He was the road manager, the roadie, the driver, the tour manager, the office manager, you know, even the artist sometimes, you know. He was doing all these different things and networking with a lot of people, and yeah, it wasn't an easy job. It's very stressful when you put others before yourself.
When I heard he shot himself, I couldn't believe it because at that time I hadn't really spoken to Chris. I was always available to get to Chris, but I hadn't spoke to him in actually it was a year because I had saw him a year before to tell him about us going to Africa. And yeah, when I heard he killed himself, I was crushed. I like cried. I think I was driving somewhere. I was in one part of town and I had to drive. It was probably about 45 minutes, and I cried all the way there. I had to talk to somebody, and I'm talking to him, and I start crying. I was like, dang. You know, you never really know sometimes. I mean, you know, you call yourself a big boy, but you know, when your big brother, your little brother die, it twists you like a wet rag.
I'm sorry to hear the news about him allegedly killing himself, but you know, I've seen Lighty like stressed out, but I never thought he was suicidal. But I did see when he was hungry. He was really hungry, you know, and that was one thing he used to tell me. He's like, yo, you gotta be hungry. Cats be getting money and they stop getting hungry. He said, I see you hungry, like, but he'll cut you off in a minute. If you're not hungry, that's another thing I learned from him. You know, money make you soft. You just gotta do the work.
In my heart of hearts, I don't believe Chris Lighty killed himself. But, you know, like I said, I wasn't with him day in, day out like I was for many years. As a lot of people know in the business, it could get to you. It could cut your guts out. But to actually turn on yourself, I really don't think Chris would go out like that. It doesn't even fit his persona, not at all. You want a man to rest in peace, but it's so hard when you hear somebody going out like that, especially when you know him.
I'm still thinking that's some sound guy or whatever, and he's going, da, 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 and I go, huh? And he just stole on me. Pop and clocked me like right around here. Like he got me good.
You got to school your own. You have to get knowledge of yourself from your own. Racism is rampant and runs deep because nobody seems to know what it is.
Everybody was saying that those lyrics were dope, and I'm like, really? Oh, then you ain't heard nothing yet, you know? So, I mean, you know, I always felt like, you know, yeah, when I started taking myself serious at MC, I thought that I had something special for the game.
Creativity is going to change the planet for us. And artists are the ones that's going to lead that.